This is a reading for Jeanette, and she's asked for a general reading about love and finances. I'm going to use the Masonic Tarot. It's a lovely deck. A little large and a little bit hard to shuffle. But the cards are just beautiful and they read very well. Okay, the first card is the Three of Swords, and that represents you, Jeanette. The card that crosses you is the Empress. The card of your past is the Ten of Wands. Your recent past is a Ten of Swords, conflict card. Near future, current concerns, the Four of Cups, has to do with love. Future is the Four of Coins, has to do with money, wealth, finances. Card for you, about yourself, your attitude, how you think of your life. And this is the Ace of Wands. This is how your friends think about you, how you associate with people you work with, or family, friends, acquaintances. It's the Ten of Cups. This is your goal card. That's the Nine of Cups. And the 10th card is the Outcome card, and that is a Six of Swords, another conflict card. Okay, let's see what we have here. Well, from what I can tell so far, for this Three of Swords, you have hopes and dreams, and you've realized a lot of them. You are a spiritual person. The Empress tells me that as she covers you, that you have strong feelings about the spiritual world. You make a real effort to protect yourself. You do have some fears. I'll have to take a look and see where those come from. But for some reason you feel it really necessary to make sure that you are protected and your home is protected. Your past is kind of telling in the Ten of Wands. There's an aggression in your nature. Sometimes you overextend yourself. It could be that in your youth there were high expectations for you. And you might have been somewhat rebellious. You knew who you were at a young age, you knew what you wanted to do, and you weren't really happy with some of the things that you were expected to do. You maybe thought that they were too much. Too many responsibilities when you really just wanted to explore, be yourself, check out the world. And there was some harshness back then too. That might have something to do with why you feel a strong need to protect yourself and why you have gained some kind of a spiritual realism in your life. Your recent past, the conflict card, which is the Ten of Swords, Well, you had difficulties in your plans. Even though you have accomplished a lot of your goals were, high expectations for yourself. There was a stumbling block for you. I would say it was probably related to family, possibly finances, but I don't see anything that says that it's finances at this point. More expectations your family had for you and expectations you had for yourself were not the same. And so that conflict was a real difficulty with you. What they wanted you to do and what you wanted to do had nothing in common. But it's your life, and you made your own decisions. You did have some guilt. I could see that you may have felt some guilt over that. But you moved on and have made your successes. You've had a few failures, but nothing serious to stop you from attaining your goals. You have a current concern about love in a relationship. Pardon me. The Four of Cups, which obviously is a card of love, speaks of a weariness, dissatisfaction. You have felt less enthusiastic than you really believe you should. Perhaps a relationship that you want or that you are in is nothing like what you expected. It's a letdown. It could be a commitment issue, or it could just be an incompatibility issue. And looking a little bit further ahead, it could be that the relationship you're in or were recently in, you just no longer have an interest. It just didn't suit what your expectations were, and I believe you've probably seen someone else who you think may fit that expectation. That person is financially solid, perhaps a person that you were with or that you did want a relationship with initially was not. They might not have lived up to your expectations as far as being able to be productive. I'm getting the feeling here from the cards that this love relationship you had was on again, off again, on again, and now maybe off again. You're at that point where if you haven't let it go yet, you're at that point where you really want to let it go and maybe follow your dreams with someone else. In the near future, I see that your finances in the Four of Coins, well, it's kind of halfy-iffy. You make good negotiations, and of course that brings in income. I would say that's not necessarily in your job, but in investments that you have. Perhaps a business. I think maybe that might be what it is a business that you have. It might be a family business too. But you have a strong tie to your possessions and concerns about losing them. I don't know if that would be theft or maybe catastrophe, something of that nature. But that's also part of why you spend time making sure that you're protected. Not just studying the issue, but you actually want to be physically protected. So one of your concerns is to make sure that your home, that your life is carefully looked over, blessed, essentially. And that's how you make sure that your comfort zone remains your comfort zone. But so far, the love is kind of halfy-iffy right now. The money is not really a worry from what I can see. Financially, you're just solid. You may come into some money in the near future, but I don't see any strength in that. I see more an issue in the area of love, romance, finding somebody who's suitable and meets your expectations. Here, in the Ace of Wands, which is you, how you feel about yourself, you like new ventures. It's a real strong emotional thing for you. You know, you want to bring something to completion or fruition and continue to go for it. Whatever is next on your list of things to do, you go for it. That's important to you. It's important to you to know that your goals are there, that they're attainable, and not that you'll step over anybody to get it, but that you will do what's necessary to get what you want, which is a good thing, because you're one of those people, I can tell by your spiritual nature, who does not harm others, and you do think about them whenever you do something. You're very careful in that manner. You want to make sure that along the way, and I think this is something that you have in your heart, that you will be careful not to commit any wrongs because you feel that it'll come back on you. I guess there's a saying that I've heard, you know, what you do to somebody else may come back threefold to you. And so you're careful that what you do is good so that what comes back to you is even better. And that's a wonderful philosophy. Not that many people actually follow that, and so this is something in your nature that's really positive, and that shows here in the Ace of Wands, that you have a big heart, that there's strength in you. It's much more strength than shows from the outside. If somebody was to look at you and think of you as being strong, they wouldn't have any clue how strong you really are, and that's your faith. That comes through in this. The Ten of Cups, which is how people think about you, how you have interrelationships, how your life kind of evolves from home to work to interactions and communications with family. The Ten of Cups tells me that you have that loving nature, that you are at peace with yourself, you have a great home, your space at home is welcoming. When you communicate with people, you are open and giving and loving, but don't let anybody step on your toes or harm you, because you'll cut them right off. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how we maintain a good move forward, is you don't drag along the things that cause you pain. This is also good in a love relationship where you are open, and if it isn't working, you just find a way to get it out of your life and move on. But the problem with that for you is that it's hard if you think you might hurt somebody or cause any kind of pain. But don't worry about that, because if something's meant to be, it will. And if it's not meant to be, it won't. And follow your heart, because your heart is really with it. You're in tune with a lot of things. I would say that if you pass a judgment on something, you are very honest to yourself, where some people aren't. You are clearly looking at things and seeing them the way they are. You don't cover something up and make it something it's not just so that it's acceptable to you, which so many people do. If it's unacceptable, or if it doesn't work with your lifestyle, you know it. Acting on it may be a little bit more difficult for you, but you know it. So in your heart, follow these things. That's what's the positive thing in your life. It's objective is what it is. Your attitude is objective, and you're very open to ideas and very accepting of new things. In fact, you yearn for new things. That's something for you, that your adventurous nature that I was talking about earlier, that you wanted to go for it. And that's a good thing too. We never stop learning, and that's how you that's another way that you get ahead, the more you know. There's a lot of loving relationships there for you within family and friends. In the Ten of Cups, where I see that you have how do I want to say this, a contentment and a peace, a good home. There aren't really any disruptions in your life. You don't allow that, basically, because you have a kind of a prescience. You see it coming, you take care of it, and then it doesn't happen. Benefit, again, of being a spiritual person and of having that objective, open attitude towards life. It's in your nature, very positive. Okay, your goals, most definitely 9 of Cups. Your goals are love, satisfaction, and having somebody who cares for you the same way you care for them, so that there's a balance, a yin-yang in your relationship, which may be something that you had once, but somehow it slipped away, or it changed, just wasn't the same anymore. It's kind of like you eat chocolate and you eat chocolate and you eat chocolate, and it's really good for a really long time, and then for some reason the recipe varies and it's just not the same anymore. It just you don't have that need for it that you had at one time. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Again, that's part of your nature. If it isn't working, you realize it, you address the situation. But the 9 of Cups tells me also, in line with what's going on here, that you may not be headed towards a relationship that's going to be lasting. What's coming up for you, or what you're interested in right now outside of a past relationship, what's new or what you've seen, someone that appeals to you, this is going to be one of those bouncy kind of situations. It's not going to satisfy you. Initially it might, just because of the newness, the curiosity. The person may be very interesting and you want to get to know them, and they may have a lot going on in their life. Baggage is the word that I call it. They're carrying baggage. For you, this is not going to work, because you want somebody who's going to focus on you, focus as a couple, and move forward together, doing what it is to reach your goals, which makes sense, you know. Not always how it works out in a relationship. And this person upcoming, I don't think that's going to happen, because they're dragging things along with them from a previous experience, and that's a negative thing. Now, if you're really interested in this person and you think you have the spiritual strength, there is a possibility that you can help that person change. And that is another positive thing. If it turns out that this is really important to you, that you think this is really a match, that's what you're going to want to do, is work with this person. You can be a helpmate. You're that kind of personality. You could and you would take the time to make something better for someone else. And if it was important enough to you, if you think that it'll work, go for it. I see the conflict in the outcome right now, but that, like anything else, can change. If you're forewarned, you're forearmed. So this person that's coming into your life, or has just come into your life, that you're interested in, look very carefully. Make sure that the things that work for you are a match, and if they're not, start out immediately with an open relationship and let them know. You know, tell them your goals. Tell them what it is that you appreciate about a loving relationship and what you don't appreciate. If this person is worthwhile, they will understand. And if their goal is the same as yours and you have a connection, they will change. But make sure that happens before you make any commitment, because people do not change after a commitment. Trust me on that. And this person, if they do turn out to be the one you want, and you do think you can work with them, that will be a very important part of the relationship, is for you to make sure that this person is going to work with you emotionally and physically. I don't just mean sexually, I mean physically, as in the responsibilities in a relationship should all be a whole. You know, you may have things that you do better, they may have things that they do better, but everything has to get done. And the kind of baggage he's carrying is really related to a relationship that didn't work that way. And so there's some remorse there. There's also some, I don't want to get into that again, you know. So if you're up front, that won't happen. If you're up front, it'll either go full forward or it may end, and then you can move on and see what else is out there. I think you're the kind of person that you attract. You are an attractive personality, so it's not a problem for you to find somebody or meet someone. Choices maybe, but you're smart and you're intuitive because you're spiritual. So stay with that. If you feel anything that's not quite right, think hard on it before you move on. As I said in the outcome card, which is really what I've been talking about right now, is that there is a conflict in a relationship in the future for you. But knowing what you know now, you could probably make changes or take a different path and everything will work out fine. I don't see any major finances that are changing in your life. That's just not in this reading right now. But love is in there, or relationships, loving type relationships. Past has passed, future is coming your way. You have a great association with friends, good communication skills. You're very spiritual and you've done well to protect yourself. So everything looks really good for you right now, as long as you are watching for that future person or the person that's recently come into your life and you see it clearly. That's what the cards are saying right now, and that would be my advice to you. So